Hey, baby. Welcome to Namco. I'm going to give you some love advice right now. If you want to see Pumpkin here, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
So do you know Pac-Man?
Yes,
Pac-Man's yellow.
Yes.
I am Pac-Man. But Pac-Man needs Mrs. Pac-Man.
Oh.
Will you be my Miss Pac-Man?
Okay.
Yes, this is a Pac-Man proposal. Yes? Yes, Miss Pac-Man gets. Thank you. Wow, that was a epic failure. Here we are. Let's check out other things here. Now this is very interesting. Super Cool Biz, which is a new initiative to save energy and also be cooler in the hot summer months, just like my cameraman there is sweating. So here it says that you can wear aloha shirts and sandals, and that waterfall that we saw just a little while earlier is supposed to cool down the entire building. And they're keeping the lights a little lower, so it's nice to see that, Japan, they're shutting down all the nuclear reactors, they're adjusting to it by saving energy, and Namco Bandai is one of those companies trying to help in the revival. Boom. Taiko drums here, which is one of the biggest games. Here we have Excel World. Wow! Are there really games in here? Let's find out. No, there's not. Because silly Western press like to just take and there's only PlayStation versions here. Interesting. Are these all empty? I guess someone got here before me. Next up, in those cloaked devices that they won't even show us, they'll send the ninjas after you, is Tekken Tag Tournament 2 for the Wii U, which hasn't even been displayed yet. You know we're on that mushroom mode, right? That Amsterdam when we're like, you can go all crazy. We're on that mushroom mode. We're going to be checking that out. Harada-san, Michael-san is going to be introducing that.
じゃあ、まず簡単にちょっと Wii U バージョンについての、簡単なプレゼンだけ、先にします。
So, first off, we're going to just introduce some of the new elements of the Wii U version, and then we'll have time for Q&A after that.
あれこれシンガポール以外は日本語いけますよね、これ顔ぶれ的にはね。
いや、英語での必要です。
あ、なるほど。
はい。
Are you just asking if you guys all speak Japanese or not?
多分韓国と
It seems kind of mixed, so we'll do both English and.
で、まず、基本的なところでいきますと、Wii U を我々開発するにあたって、どういうコンセプトでやったかというと、本体のコンセプトありますね。Wii U のコンセプトは、例えばファミリーでこういうリビングにいて、一人がテレビを占有、ゲームでしちゃうってことがないように、例えば誰かはテレビドラマを見ながら横ではこうゲームをできるっていう、このコンセプトに忠実に、基本的にはこのゲームパッドの中だけでゲームが全て完結するように作ってます。
So the main direction in development with this version for Wii U matches that of the console itself. That when Nintendo was announcing it, they wanted it so you didn't have to take over the TV to play the game. So that if your family has that particular time slot that they have their favorite TV show on or whatever, you don't have to compete with that. You can play it simply on the controller itself.
はい。で、ただ、画面をやっぱり2つ使える人もいると思うんですよね。そういう人向けには、ここに技表の中から技を登録、ショートカットキーを登録しておいて、その技表の押せばそのまま再生されるような機能っていうのを用意しようと思ってます。
But for those gamers out there playing on their TV and using the controller, there are some bonus features that will be available. For example, playing on the main screen, but then using the sub-screen to have access to shortcuts. So you don't have to perform the button inputs. You can just push the shortcut and the technique is executed.
はい。で、あと、オリジナルで、今、まだまだ実は発表してないことが多いんですけど、現時点で言えることで言うと、任天堂さんとのコスチュームのコラボレーション、マリオだとかゼルダとかのコスチュームのコラボレーションが入ってますよっていうのと、あとは、今お見せできる時点で言えることだと、キノコバトルですね、マッシュルームバトルっていうちょっと特殊な遊びが入ってます。
There's a lot of stuff we can't talk about yet, but some of the things we can talk about are the collaboration elements that we did with Nintendo. For example, there are several costumes, such as Mario or Zelda, that are available for the characters in the game. Not only that, but there's an exciting new mode, a mushroom battle mode. So what this is you have these mushrooms, and if you eat them, you get bigger or smaller, and that affects the gameplay.
まあ、これ、例えばこれでこういう順番に押していくと、まあこう、ショートカットでこう技が出ると。
So this is an example of using the shortcuts to actually perform the techniques more easily.
はい。で、これがキノコバトルモードですね。
And in this mode actually is the mushroom battle he was mentioning.
で、音楽も実はコラボレーションしてます。
The music also reflects a collaboration with Nintendo.
Round 2. Fight.
で、このバトルモードだと、まあ普段はありえないようなこの位置取りですとか、まあ大きくなると非常に有利になったり、逆にね、大きくなりすぎると当たらない技が増えて不利になったりする点があったりするので、結構その普段の鉄拳ではありえないバトルが楽しめて面白いです。
So, you know, in gaining the mushrooms, your character gets bigger. As it gets bigger, it deals more damage to the opponent. So you and your opponent are going to be moving around the screen to try to get these mushrooms. So this is a new element that isn't present in more traditional Tekken. And the bigger you are, sometimes your attacks and stuff might not hit your opponent with its high attacks and such.
まあ結構こういう無敵スターが出たりとか、まあ本当に、鉄拳遊んだことない人でも、今までにないこのアクションゲーム的な、感じで対戦できて面白いと思いますね。
So there's the invincibility stars, the mushrooms, and it's quite entertaining to play with your friends. So this mode will appeal to people who are even new to the series.
はい。あとなんか質問等あれば。
So that's pretty much the new features that we can talk about today. So we'll move to Q&A and you guys can ask questions.
So on the touchpad, when you use the move on the face, is the list scrollable or is it just for?
ショートカットってこう表示のこう数って決まってるの？それともこうスクロールしたりとかする？
基本的には今、ここ4つ出そうかなというふうに思ってますよね。で、技表とかで、例えば、こう、プラクティスみたいなところで、この技ってどんな技かなって見たいところは、まあもちろんスクロールしてバンバンバンって全部見れるようにさせたいと思います。対戦中ってそんなに多分、スクロールさせてこうってできないと思うんで、
So, you know, it might be kind of difficult to, while you're playing against someone, to scroll. So, just whatever can fit on the screen. So maybe 4 or 5. But, you know, when you're in practice or some of these other modes, perhaps, to have it scroll like you normally would.
タッチでコンボも使えるんですか？
でコンボは、例えば、こう、どっちかって、ワンボタンでコンボはいけないんですけど、コンボに行けるように順番に登録しとくんですよ。そうすると、これで、一番上で、例えば浮かせて、当たんないな。浮かせて、こういう風に、今こういうのコンボ入りましたけど、こう、1、2、3と押していけば、
中断コンボとはできませんか？中断コンボ。
10連？
中断。
10連コンボはさすがにちょっと、あんま良くないと思うんでやらないようにしようかな。
So, the question was, can you do a combo with just one touch, like a shortcut? Answer is, no. You kind of register the parts, and then you can do, like, for example, launcher with one touch, then you do the filler with another button, and then the finishing move with another. So you can push them in succession. And then he asked if you could do the 10-hit combo with one button. He said that probably wouldn't be very favorable, so no. 10連でショートカットで3をしてくる人は結構言われるな。
So
We're in a time where a lot of companies are doing collaborations, and you've done one with Capcom and Street Fighter, and now with Nintendo and Mario series.
Yep.
Is there anyone that you will not, absolutely not collaborate with?
Good question. 結構コラボレーション最近増えた感じがするんだけど、まずカプコンとやった後に今回ニンテンドーなんですけど、どっちかというと、こいつだと絶対コラボしたくないなっていうのはある。
おー
面白いよね。
見たことないけど、
アクティビション
アクティビション。
いいじゃん。
そうでもないよね。
俺、コールオブデューティ好きだしね。
ギャラクさんともね、別に今普通の関係だし。
で、一番、小野さんと俺の共通見解は、嫌いじゃないのよ。これ、嫌いだって書かないでほしいんだけど、お互いむしろ遊びはするんだけど、モータルコンバットにもし俺らのキャラが出て、モータルコンバットで脊髄をこう、首をもがれて脊髄にブワーって自分のキャラが出されたらちょっと嫌だねって話をしてたんです。
Well, that's hard to say, I guess, but this is something that I talked to Ono-san, I'm in first person for Harada-san, but I talked to Ono-san about frequently is Mortal Kombat. And not because we don't like the series or the guy, it's just that to have your characters that you created in 411, to have their spines ripped out and all that, wouldn't feel so great, so maybe not with that franchise.
フェタリティ自体は僕は大好きなんですけどね。
Yeah, I like fatalities, as a player, they're cool.
個人的には、こう、掴んでってやって、ダルシムとかだと首がビーってそれは見てみたいけど。
Personally, I would like to see grabbing Dawson's head and pulling him out for a fatality, but his neck just kind of expands and grows longer would be kind of fun to see.
So, you guys mentioned before that you will never charge for characters, moves, and
Stages.
So, characters and stages are pretty much, seeing what those, what you mean by that. But moves, so far you haven't really announced anything, right?
Moves?
Yeah.
Because
and the other thing is, so when I tried the combat mode, the fight lab,
yeah.
I realized that you can't actually, not every character's moves is listed inside. So does that mean that at some point we might be able to receive additional moves?
Interesting. 原さんいつも言ってるDLC でお金取らないアイテムとして、ステージとキャラと、技でキャラとステージの追加ダウンロードコンテンツはもう発表されてるし、大体聞いてるけど、技は今のところないですね。で、彼自身がファイトラバーそんな時に、全キャラの全技は入ってるわけじゃないから、例えば、そのモードに、後で技が追加されるとか、そういうのがあるんですか？
要望があればって感じですね。僕、あんまり、技も多ければいいってもんじゃないし、最近言われてるのはキャラも多ければ多いほど本当にいいのかっていうと、覚えるのが大変だったりとかして、そうでもないっていうのがあるんで、それはもうユーザーの要望次第じゃないですかね。
Well, it depends on, how much people are saying they want something like that. So, it might be possible depending on the voices of the fans if there's a majority there. But, it's not that it's okay if just to have max. The more moves, the better. Because as we see with the characters, a lot of people are starting to say now that, we love having a lot of characters, but there might be a point where there's too many because you have to remember the movesets when you're fighting against them and such. So, it's not just to increase as much as possible is the best direction.
Would it be possible using the same technique on Xbox 360's Smart Glass? Xbox 360 Smart Glass is using just like iPad or else, but would it possible?
So you mean like the same kind of features on this controller then, you mean?
Yes.
Right? サンドコマルのスマートカラーさんの iPad とかそういったデバイスでさっき言ったようなフィーチャーがあったりするのが発表されてるんだけど、そういうものをそういうようなフィーチャーをもっとこういうテッケンの Wii U に入れたりとかこっちに使ったりしないですかと。スマートクラスとかいろんな
スマートクラスとかのサービスはどっちかって言ったらあれハードウェアの会社というかファースト パーティー自身がやっているサービスなので、それは逆に任天堂さんに聞いてほしい質問かなという気がしますけど。
Well, since that's kind of like on the hardware side, designed by Microsoft, to kind of reenact those type of features more so than you currently have on the Wii U, is something that Nintendo would have to enable for us.
Are you guys considering supporting 2 gamepads for the?
これ、ニコンに対応する予定ですか？
本体が対応が後になるんだっけこれ。確かニコンにできるの後になると思う。その時に多分自動的にできるようになるんじゃないのかなと思ってるんですけど、まあ僕らもまだ2個繋げたことがないんでね。
So, in development, we still haven't tested 2 ourselves yet. So when Nintendo makes that available as their update, then we think that the game will probably automatically comply to that, I think. So it should be able to use. But, we still haven't seen it ourselves yet, so.
But so when Nintendo announced the feature, they did say that there is a limitation that if you were to do it on 2 gamepads, then the resolution,
frame rate
is yeah. So on 3DS, you guys kind of so there was a similar sort of problem where a lot of games for the 3DS, when they go into 3D mode, the frame rate is half. But for Tekken, you guys managed to
60.
Exactly. So
are we gonna do the same thing? Yeah.
Are you?
That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 3DS、まずこれ2個使うと、任天堂の発表だと、
フレームレートをドロップするんだよ、半分に。
で、3DS も 3D にすると、
基本は落ちるけど、
だったけど、鉄拳が60のできた。今回のそれ2個で30フレームになるにしても、鉄拳が60をキープできるようになるんですか？
どうなんだろう、それ多分ハードの制約上絶対できないんじゃないかな。3DS の場合はちゃんと余力を残せばできるっていうだけだったんですけど、これ多分分配するんだと思うんだよね、物理的に。だからそれはソフト側の制御でできない部分なんじゃないのかなと勝手に想像してわかんないですけどね。
He's not sure yet, because we haven't seen it ourselves. But with the 3DS, it was just simply that if you left enough power, then optimizing your engine and such, that we were able to keep 60 frames on that, even in 3D. But with this case, it might actually be a hardware issue, so that maybe they're splitting the signal or something that would drop it to 30. And if it's that case because of the hardware, there's not a whole lot we can do. But since we don't know the exact limitations and such yet, because we haven't seen it personally, he still doesn't know.
Right. So I think when character eats a mushroom, bigger. So if character get bigger, what kind of difference do you guys make? Like a gross power or what?
そのでかくなるのは見えたんですけど、どういうメリットがあるのかと、ゲーム的にその、で
メリットはまずリーチが伸びます。すごく届く。で、ダメージが起きる。その代わり、そうですね。非常に打点の高い技は小さいものに対して当たりにくくなるので、逆に言うと自分のやられ判定も大きくなるので、そこの2点が不利な点ですけど、基本的には大きくなった方が勝ちやすいです。
Well, first, your reach is much longer with the techniques, and the damage you deal to your opponent increases. Your power increases. But on the other hand, because your character model is bigger, some techniques that hit pretty high, the hitbox, might not hit your opponent if they're smaller. So there is that. But in general, you're better off the bigger you are.
So how many mushroom is there? So I heard some 2 musics.
何種類あるんですか、マッシュルーム。2種類はさっき見た気がするんだけど。
マッシュルームの種類自体、まあそれはまだ秘密ですね。
Can't say. It's still secret.
So whose idea? Nintendo or Namco?
どっちのアイデ
ア？まず経緯自体は、まあもちろん僕らのアイデアなんですけど、 皆さんこのマッシュルームバトルって聞くと、ああ、キノコだからだって思うかもしれないですけど、実は、アイデアのルーツは、キノコではなくて、もともとデバッグ機能として PS365 に作ってる頃から、まあアーケードですね、もっと言えば。アーケードモードを作ってる時から、こう、デバッグ用に、スケールをかけるようにしてたんです。モデルに。で、小さいスケールと大きいスケールと実験とかをやってたんですけど、その頃からすごいわざと大きくしたりちっちゃくしたりして、みんなで冗談みたいに遊んでたんでね。面白いんだけど、モードとして成り立たせるには大きくなる必然性、小さくなる必然性が必要で、その必然性がないじゃないですか、別に。だから、まあ、必然性のアイデアがないからやめとこうということで放置してたんですけど、Wii U をやるにあたって、任天堂マリオキノコって来ると、キノコっていうのは大きくなったりちっちゃくなったりする必然性が逆にとアイデアとして埋めれるところだったので、これはちょっと面白いぞってことで、いや、いよいよあのアイデアを生かす時だっていう形で、任天堂さんにすみません、キノコ使わせてもらえませんかって言ったのが、このモードの始まりですね。
Well, it was an idea that came about from our side. And everyone thinks, oh, yeah, mushrooms, you get bigger. That makes sense, but that's not actually where it started. In our development environment, we already had a new feature that allowed us to scale the character sizes to make them big or small. But we just didn't have a gameplay feature to attach to it yet. It was interesting and entertaining when we were testing it out, but there wasn't really a point gameplay-wise to it yet. But then when we were working on the Wii U version, we thought, okay, well, the mushroom really makes a lot of sense when in using that. So when we approached Nintendo and asked them to let us use the mushroom, they were okay with that. And that's kind of how that came about. Last question. See?
So this is my first time in the Namco Bandai offices, and it feels like it's like the Zaibatsu building. Do you ever feel like, I mean, that you're actually living the game story? She's looking like Hachi, you look like Lars. You guys are living, working in the Namco Bandai Zaibatsu.
You always have such interesting
If I were to like take that Wii U with like, the ninjas come after me, like it seems like there's a blend of
the Tekken Force, they're gonna come get you.
Real life and the story mode.
I think we do have some Tekken Force. 初めてここに来たんですけど、まあこのビルが結構変わってるし、どっちかというと印象的に鉄拳財閥のものって言われても不思議ではないような感じだし、原さんは平地に見えるし、俺もダースに見えるから。なんかその世界が微妙にこう境界線がないような感じになってるんだけど、そういう自覚はあるんですか？例えばこの Wii を俺が今すぐパクったらテッケンフォースが出てきて俺を拘束するとかそういうのあります？
まあ実はあそこの内側の窓って中から吹き抜けで見えてますけど、あれ窓があるように見えて実は窓ないんですね、あれ。で窓がないので実際上にみんな置いてるんですけど、上にガス銃をみんな持ってて。上から狙撃できるようにはなってるんですよ、実際。まあ実弾ではないですけどね。
ガス銃、サボゲン使うかな。So yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that that's somewhat the case. And when you look in the inside the building, it's kind of layered like that. You see the floors. There's no glass partitions there, so the people up there with the gas guns we use in the survival games and such can shoot you at any time if you try to steal the Wii U. So I wouldn't recommend that.
まああと。三島財閥の警備員どころか、僕は小野さんとのビデオの撮影で、おでんとかを、そのビルで、ガスコンロでおでんとかを本当に調理したりとかしてて、それで警備員を呼ばれて逆に僕ら、小野さんと一緒にここで怒られたりしてるぐらいなんで、警備員のお世話には僕らの方がなってますよ。
As far as, having the Tekken Force at our disposal, it's kind of quite the opposite. We do have guards in the building, but they're not my friends at all. In the video with Ono-san, when I was preparing the oden, which is a Japanese specialty that you have to cook. I was cooking in the building, and they actually came in, and I got in trouble for that. So they're not on my side at all.